with us today. Kaz, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, I see what you did there. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was hitting you with the question. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about it right off the bat. We talked Northeast Wrestling. Now, this isn't the first event that you've done for Northeast Wrestling. So, what are you expecting tomorrow night? It looks like you're going to be taking on Wrecking Ball Legursky. And what do you think about Northeast Wrestling in general? How have you been treated over there?
I mean, I've been treated amazingly since I've been there. Michael Lombardi runs the show. He, always makes me feel comfortable. He's put me in some really good matches, some challenging matches. I was so far going against Thrill Ride, who, with his little fucking manager right there, almost beat me twice. And, but tomorrow night, I'm going against Wrecking Ball, so I'm looking forward to the challenge. I've chatted with him, I've looked him eye to eye, but I don't really know what this guy's about. So I'm interested to see what happens tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, let's take it back a little bit. You've been in wrestling for quite a while now, but I feel like that I don't know that much about how you got your start. We can look at Wikipedia and we can see these things, but can you tell everybody who's listening just a little bit about how you got into the professional wrestling business and maybe why you stuck with it so long?
Okay, so I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. And while I was in college, I was studying for the MCAT, and I was pre-med. And I was like, well, this isn't my passion. Like, while I was studying for the MCAT, I was like, I'm going to ace this test. I'm going to do really well. But at the same time, I can't do this for 8 more years because I'm not that passionate. So I studied for the MCAT, took it, did well, and could have gotten into med school. But once I graduated, I said, nah, I think I'm going to pursue professional wrestling because that's my passion. So I wasn't passionate about medicine, so I just went in the direction of professional wrestling.
All right. Now, you were obviously a fan of professional wrestling before getting in there. Like, what time frame were you the most passionate about as far as professional wrestling is concerned? Like, I know you grew up in New York, so there's obviously a lot going on on the East Coast as far as professional wrestling. Who were some of your favorites growing up, and who really was that person that maybe got you into the business?
I mean, Hogan, and then Bret Hart, and then the guy that got me into the business was Austin. I was at Survivor Series 96 at the Garden, and I was like a big Bret Hart fan, but like all these influential teenagers around me were Austin fans. I was like, oh man, they're the cool kids. I was like, I'm going to cheer for Austin. And then from that moment on, I was a big Austin fan, and he hooked me into professional wrestling, like to try and like get into the business was Austin.
Now, I'm always interested in that, like being a big Austin fan. Clearly, you were at the big shows. You were at WrestleMania. You were at Survivor Series, and times when potentially Austin would have been around. Have you ever got to talk to Austin about the fact that you were a fan of his growing up?
Huge. I believe it was the weekend. It was the weekend that me and Enzo were going to debut on Raw. So it was in Dallas, and Austin had me and Enzo on his podcast. And we chatted for a while for the podcast. And then after we went off the air and he stopped recording, me, Enzo, and him chatted for hours on end in his hotel room, like just bullshitting. It was like a dream come true, just like picking his brain, asking him all these questions, and it was just like me, Enzo, and him. Like nobody else could hear. It wasn't on air. It was amazing.
That's awesome. Now it feels like to me sometimes that being a fan can either help you or hurt you. In your experience, have you ever felt that like being a fan of professional wrestling and then going into the professional wrestling business, was that ever looked down upon by anybody?
Man, that's a good question. I don't think so. I think that being a fan just makes people know that you're passionate about what you do for a living. I've never once been looked down upon for my passion in being a fan for wrestling, but I mean, I could see where that might come from, but that definitely didn't happen to me.
Okay, awesome. Now, being from New York, obviously there are a lot of things that go along with that. I got to ask a couple of quick questions. Are you a Yankee or a Met fan?
Yankees.
Okay, all right. And what about like being around so much in New York? Like it's constantly going. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Did you ever feel like when you decided to become a professional wrestler that it was easier for you to do it because you were already here on the Northeast, or do you think it was more difficult because there was already so much of it going on?
Huh. I don't think that wherever I ended up wouldn't have mattered. I mean, I'm 6'10", good looking dude, like educated, can talk. Like, no matter where I ended up, I would be fine. So I don't know if it helped me or was a detriment to me, but I never looked at that. I just know what I'm capable of, what I possess, and what kind of offer I could give to wrestling. So I don't think it was ever a detriment or helping me in that direction. I just think, I was just destined to do something wrestling wise.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you just mentioned it. You're 6'10". You're a big guy. In the world of professional wrestling, there are a lot of those. There have been, the Giants, the Undertakers, the Psycho Sids, all these big men. Whenever you got into the business, have you ever felt like there was any? I mean, maybe you put it on yourself or just around, but did you feel any pressure or anything about having to live up to some of those other big men?
No, because I look at WWE and I think, when has Vince McMahon ever put a cap on the number of talented big guys he could have? Never. So I never felt like I was in competition with anybody. I always thought that I could compliment them. Like, Vince isn't going to sit there and say, "Oh man, we have 4 7-footers. No, we need to cut that down." No, he's going to involve every one of them. So I never felt competition or anything like that.
Awesome. Now, you are still going strong. You're a big part of the wrestling world today. You're not necessarily with WWE or any of the the new AEW yet or anything like that, but you are making your rounds all around the world, being a professional wrestler. How is that different to you nowadays, being able to do this kind of on your own terms versus when you were locked down like full-time with a big company?
I mean, I could do what I want. Like, if I want to go out there and, try something out, I don't have to clear with anybody. I just go out there and do it. And if it sucks, okay, it sucks. Then I won't do it again. But if I try something out and people react to it, then it's like, okay, I'll try that out tomorrow again. So I don't really have to clear anything with anybody. It's kind of just like you're on the independence, go out there, you win in this amount of time or he wins in that amount of time. And you could do whatever the fuck you want. So I kind of just do what I want and see what works.
That's awesome. Now, as a full-time wrestler, being, like we just mentioned, in the WWE and then now being on the independents, there was some rumors or whatever that were swirling around about how WWE now is offering maybe vacations to some people. And with AEW, they've talked about possibly offering health insurance and things like that. As somebody who did that grind where you were 300 nights in a year, if not more, what do you think some of the things that upper management should look at to trying to help these people that are doing that grueling schedule, day in and day out, night in, night out? What are some of the things you think would be best to kind of help out the talent?
To just give a fuck. Don't just look at them like talent, and don't look at them like, pieces on a chessboard. Look at them like human beings. Like, okay, this guy's burnt out, give him 2 weeks off. This guy's burnt out, give him 4 weeks off. Like, that's it. It's not very hard. Just look at these people like human beings and not just like, pieces of clay that you're molding into, your ultimate, you know, game. Like, just look at them like humans. Okay, this person's burnt out mentally, physically, everything. Give them a week off. Like, it's not that hard. So that's all I could, ask of them from my experience.
Absolutely. Now, you touched on this a little bit, and I'm gonna say it was a brave thing. It was incredible to see. Like, a lot of people watch you on television or other wrestlers, and they just think that they're these people that don't have any problems. You're making big money, you're traveling the world, and all that. And you brought it up. You said that you anxiety and depression, those things do happen. You've sort of, after some of the videos that you did with DDP and all of those things came out, become this figure of kind of talking about anxiety and depression in professional wrestling. What's your experience been? Has it been a positive outpouring for people coming and saying, like, you know what, hey, that happened to me too. Like, I'm glad that you said that.
It's definitely been positive. So, I've gotten a lot of texts since then from coworkers or former coworkers, sorry, like saying thank you for speaking up. But I really find the most satisfaction in when I look at Instagram and I see like all my messages, and I'm interacting with people on a daily basis who are telling me, I appreciate you saying that. Like, I'm going through this or I'm going through that, and like you're helping me, and I'll talk to these people. Like, literally, I'm talking to them one on one. Like, I'm not a psychiatrist. I have no MD. Like, I don't have any sort of, credentials when it comes to that. But if they want to talk to me, I'm going to talk to them. So, like, when I get messages on Instagram and people saying, hey, I watched this, what should I do? And I give them my honest opinion as someone who's been through it, because I feel like a lot of times in the mental health field, you talk to a lot of people who don't know what it's like because they've never been through it. They studied it. They really, really, have looked through everything, but they've never been through it. So I try to be a voice for these people that have, a guy that's been through it. So I try to help them through that.
Well, it definitely shows, and there are lots of people out there. We mentioned that had reached out to you, and we saw that you went down and spoke with DDP. How important and how helpful was that to go down and speak with DDP and try to talk to him about some of this stuff?
I mean, he's been through it, man. He has dealt with a lot of guys that have had problems, whether it's anxiety, depression, other people with substance abuse, or he's been through it. He knows. So when you talk to him, it's not like a guy that is discovering this for the first time. He gets it. Like, he looks you in the eye and he gets what you're going through. Okay. So, just hanging out with him and his whole family, like, in that house, you have Brenda, you have Lexi, like, everybody in that house that makes you feel like you're part of the family. It's like it's a really good atmosphere, because you get there and you feel like you're like a brother, or you're someone in the family. So I appreciate him taking me in and everything that we've experienced together, because he's been through it. He sees it all. He's known it all. He's seen everything.
We are so happy that, he kind of started this, and obviously we've seen him work wonders with all kinds of people, and it's just exciting to kind of see that in the world of wrestling, it probably back in the day that it may not have been that way, and people were kind of only looking out for themselves. So it's nice to see that other people are kind of lending out, and that's what we saw with you too. Like you just said, you're answering these people, you're talking to people. That's something that maybe people don't necessarily realize is happening out there. So we're happy that that's going on. But you've had a lot of awesome moments in your career so far, but obviously we know a lot still yet to come. But if you could kind of put a bow on probably right now, like what you think of as your proudest career moment so far, what would it be?
Wow. Proudest career moment. Wow. That is a good question. I'd probably say the Garden in April. Like, I had been dead and buried for 3 months. No one had seen from me. Thought I was dead. Didn't care what I looked like. I came back at Madison Square Garden in April with Enzo and was in the best shape of my life. And I kind of, when I gave the middle finger to everybody in the crowd, I gave the middle finger to everybody at home. Like, yeah, you thought I was dead. You banked on me being dead, but it's time for me to come back now. So that's probably the proudest moment, was me giving the middle finger to everybody at home.
Awesome. I have to say, I'm pretty active. I listen to a lot of things, and I was surprised about something you said, and it didn't even have to do with wrestling, but it had to do with my favorite television show, The Office. And I hear that you're a pretty big fan of The Office as well.
Huge.
Okay, so I want to know your theory as to why you've made Pam Beesly the biggest heel on The Office.
Dude, 'cause she sucks, man. Okay, let me walk you through this. She's engaged to Roy. She's flirting with Jim on a daily basis. Kisses Jim. Makes Roy super jealous. She goes to art school, right? She goes to art school, and Jim is just like all on board. Okay, yeah, go pursue your dream. And then when Jim wants to go, pursue his dream when it comes to like some sort of like sports agency or something like that, she's hesitant. Fuck you. What's wrong with her? Like, he supported you in all your ups and all your downs. You need to fucking help him. I can't stand Pam. Hate her.
Listen, I am more of a Filippelli man myself, so it was refreshing to hear.
Oh, I love Karen is the best.
That's incredible. I'm so happy to hear that. So
yeah.
We're winding down. Like I said, you're a busy man. I'm so happy that we got this chance to talk a little bit, but I want to, like, with these interviews, it's important for me to kind of show that you are human as well. Like, a lot of people, especially with the invention of social media, it's really easy for people to just say things and there be no repercussions. But what's something about you that you would, either want people to know that they may not know, or something that people would be surprised to learn about you? Like, what's that thing that if, you could tell people, hey, I wish you all knew this, what would it be?
Holy shit, that's a really good question. I don't know. I just think people need to just sit down with me and get to know me, and they'd be like, yeah, this guy's a good dude. Like, I don't have anything specific to put out there. I'm sure, like, in 30 minutes, I'm like, fuck, I should have told them this. But right now, I can't think of anything. Just sit down. Like, 3 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, just sit down and have a beer with me. But right now, just sit down and fucking have a Diet Coke with me and just let's chat, because I'm a regular motherfucking dude.
That's awesome. And when you aren't wrestling, which obviously right now you've got a pretty busy schedule, but when you aren't wrestling, what is something that we would find you doing?
Fantasy football or playing on my electric drum set.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
We cannot thank you enough for letting us get a little bit of glimpse of CazXL. We are super excited to see you tomorrow night in Waterbury, Connecticut, where you take on Wrecking Ball Legursky. For any fans that are going to be listening to this and hearing this between now and then, what's something, you're going to be there, you're going to be signing autographs, you're going to be taking photos with the fans. Is there anything, you mentioned Diet Coke, what's some things that fans could, if they want to bring you something, what's the thing that you like the most?
Well, I'll tell you this right off the bat. When you come to see me and Enzo, you're getting a whole experience. Me and Enzo aren't just some dudes that sit down and just say hey and just sign autographs. We're going to make you feel welcome. We're going to make you feel like you're part of our family. We're going to bring you in. Like, that's just what we do. Like, we want the more people in our family, the better. So we just keep bringing people in. Like, you come to see us, we're going to fucking put you on board. We're going to take pictures. We're going to chat about whatever you want to chat about. Anything. It could be anything. We're going to try our best to help you. And, come get an 8x10, come get a picture of me and Enzo. But I think the most important thing is the experience. Just come sit down with us and chat, because we're open to chat about anything.
Awesome. Well, we, again, can't thank you enough. We're super excited to see you back out there. And I've seen you in action since you've been back, and let me tell you, it's incredible to see the transformation you've made. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you go in the future. And just thanks so much.
I appreciate that. I'm a fucking machine right now.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. There is, if anybody sees it, it's probably on your Instagram, but it's floating around there. But there's a picture of you just jacked, and it's pretty incredible to see. So good luck with everything.
I appreciate that.
And thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.